and welcome back to the Phelan-McDermid Podcast, sharing research, progress, and hope. We are back with the second of three updates from our 2023 grant awardees. Today, I have the pleasure of talking to Dr. Bridgette Moffitt, who was awarded the Innovation Award for her project titled Functional Assessment of Candidate Treatments for Phelan-McDermid Syndrome. Dr. Moffitt received her PhD from Clemson University, where she still is now. Welcome, Dr. Moffitt.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Of course. So, Dr. Moffitt, we are all eager to hear about your project, but first, could you share with our PMSF community a little bit more about your background and how you found your way into Phelan-McDermid Syndrome research?
Yes. So I got my undergrad degree in biology from a small school in Kentucky, and I've always had a keen interest for genetic disorders and how their mutations actually affect individuals' health, which led me to pursuing my PhD at Clemson in their healthcare genetic program. While I was there, I met Dr. Luigi Bacuto and Dr. Sarah Sarasua, who are both prominent researchers within the PMS community, and they really brought me under their wing to hone my interest in specifically neurological genetic disorders and kind of bring that all around to the PMS community where we can do some really awesome research, and we have so far.
Awesome. That's great. And yes, like you said, they are both prominent researchers in this area, and exciting to see that they're part of your project as well. So congrats again on receiving the 2023 Innovation Award. Can you briefly share what your project aims to accomplish?
Yes. So our first aim was to study the response of some individual cell lines that we have from patients with our collaboration with Greenwood Genetics Center. So we really wanted to see, how the baseline of PMS cells looked in comparison to what we would consider normal cells or individuals who, don't have any known genetic mutations. Mm-hmm. And then our second aim of that study was to take compounds that have really good research indications where they would be relative to the PMS community and see, if these compounds at different dosages can get those cell lines, the PMS cell lines at least, back to normal compared to our control group. So that's what we've been looking at just to see. I know personalized medicine is really becoming more prominent nowadays, just to see if we can, tailor these treatments to the actual individual. Now that's years from now, but that's our goal so that we can really make it more personalized to each person.
Great. Yeah. Like you said, personalized medicine or individualized medicine is so important, especially in PMS, Phelan-McDermid syndrome. So for sort of some of the laymen out there, sort of really helping to identify some of the responders to the non-responders for these specific compounds of interest. I know you can't share too much maybe about the compounds, but can you tell us a little bit more about these cell lines and who they're from? And there are different genetic variations in Phelan-McDermid syndrome. And so who are these people?
Yes. So we've collaborated with Greenwood Genetics Center. We've had several publications with them. All of these individuals are from 2 years old to in their 50s when their cells were taken. But they have all different types of point mutations or deletions. So it kind of covers the whole spectrum that is the genetic variation of the PMS community. So it's not just cell lines from the point mutation or breakpoints. We have a good variety of cell lines to pull from.
Yeah, that's great. So you find hopefully some responders to different compounds. It's not going to be one type of subtype or of mutation.
Correct.
So tell me a little bit about where you're with the project now and sort of what are the next steps?
So at the conference, we had really selected our cell lines based on their response to these compounds that we're using. So now we are in the process of actually testing those. Preliminary data right now, we have what appears to be good results. We are not done with all of those testing as some of the cell lines grow slower. So everything's not really on the same timeline, but everything is looking very promising, and we're very happy with what we see.
That's great to hear. I'm glad to hear things are going well right now, and looking forward to hearing those results. But part of our aim of this podcast and the science communication series is really to help our families understand that research process a little bit more and be a little bit more transparent. And we know that research projects rarely go according to plan and there's frequent delays. So is there anything you kind of share with us and the families a little bit about unexpected things that's happened and other things that you've maybe had to do differently along the way?
Yes. So right now, as I just previously said, cell lines that we have can be a little difficult. Some require a lot more time and love and commitment to get, growing, since we have a threshold of viability that we have to meet before we can run experiments. So each cell has their own kind of timeline with how they want to cooperate. We've also have exciting news about expanding our lab here at Clemson. So we've had a few lab shutdown days where they're working in the lab so that we can, expand and do more PMS research, which is so exciting for us.
But yeah, understandable that then there's going to be some delays in the project. And, I think it's, as someone who's never worked with cell lines before, it is exciting and kind of funny to hear that sometimes the cell lines have kind of their own individual personalities, just like the kids that came from, which maybe at some point that'd be its own little fun study to do.
Oh, yes. Yes.
So after you complete the project, where can we expect to see results?
So I think it is in May. We are presenting probably still preliminary results to the PMS Italian Family Conference. And then we will, once we're completely done, we will be publishing probably in molecular genetics or clinical genetics, one of those journals, all of our data. And we are actually having a poster at ACMG this summer. So that's American College of Medical Genetics.
Yeah, that's great to hear. We'll definitely have to get some copies of those things just so we can also continue to sharing with their families. That's one of the ideas with these grants, is really helping parents and families understand sort of the process. And so even though, originally planned, it was a year grant, everyone asked for no cost extensions, which basically sort of help prolong how long the grant is going without sharing extra money, but then really helping you guys in seeing where the research goes from the generation idea all the way to publication. So that's exciting to hear. What are sort of then the next steps after this grant is done? What are the next studies that would happen? Where will this kind of take you in the lab?
So we've already started talking about future ideas. Clemson has a really good aquatics center. So we are exploring opportunities to use zebrafish, which are considered a model organism for humans, to see if we can actually translate our results into an actual living organism. So using the compounds or the drugs that we have found to be effective in cell lines, using that to see in these PMS modeled zebrafish, if we can get those same results, which is just making us one step closer to actually getting it into clinic to actually be able to help individuals in this community.
Yeah, that sounds great and sort of makes sense as sort of like checkbox one is sort of these cell lines, moving it into then kind of a living creature, so to speak, so that eventually it can be a little bit more translational and hit our individuals. So that's great to hear. In our last interview, we spoke with Dr. Julia Dahlman about kind of her additional lines of research, which was very related to kind of her Phelan-McDermid research, but looking at kind of the same thing in other rare genetic disorders. Is there anything you can tell us or share with us that you're also working on?
Yes, so we are partnered with a group in Chicago now. They used to be in Miami, and we are looking at SMS. So it also affects children, and it's a complex genetic condition. So we are, doing similar research where we're using cell lines that we've also collaborated with Greenwood Genetics to obtain, and really see if the drug that they found that worked in flies will actually work in cell lines, and do the same process of, then translating it back to the clinic. So they have a large NIH grant. So we're working with them to do the cell research while they're doing the Drosophila, the flies, and doing all of the data analysis that comes with that. So we're excited about, pursuing that other rare genetic condition.
That's great. Like I said, that was definitely something that Dr. Dahlman was also working on, and being able to identify some similarities between the two syndromes as well as differences as they arise. One of the other things that we've wanted to do with this podcast before I let you go is really show that scientists are humans too, and that as much time as you spend in the lab, you have even maybe just a couple hours a week to be a human. And so anything you can share, any hobbies you've been into, shows you've been watching, kind of who you are outside of the lab.
Yes. So last summer we welcomed identical twin boys.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Outside time and free time is a little non-existent right now. We're still getting, everything, routines, all of that just comes with just having kids in general. But usually in our free time, when we didn't have kids, we like to go scuba diving, my husband, at one of the lakes around Clemson. And then obviously Clemson football is a big thing in our household. So, we're just right now getting, our heads back over above water with getting, going from 0 kids to 2 kids. We like to be outside. And so when we get back to doing that, I think everything will be great.
Well, congratulations again. And I'm sure our families listening and watching can definitely relate of just sort of the busyness of life. And I cannot imagine having 2 at once. So good luck with that. Before I let you go, anything else you want to share with our PMSF community and the families who are tuning in?
I personally am just really excited to attend an actual in-person conference, and I know that'll happen next year. So I'm really excited to, get there and meet all the people. I know Luigi has told me that the conferences are really fun, really informative, and really nice to get to, put faces to the people that you're actually trying to help. So I'm really looking forward to that next summer.
Great. We're very excited to have you there. And, I really appreciate you making that point. I think especially for scientists like you who tend to be more in the lab, not necessarily always having that direct connection to the families and the individuals with Phelan-McDermid themselves. And so the family conference is such, the perfect place to be able to do that. So we're excited. Thanks again so much, Dr. Moffitt. We're so excited about your project and so grateful to have you as just part of our PMSF community. We look forward to hearing final results. Families, stay tuned and welcome back to our podcast, which is officially named the Phelan-McDermid Podcast, sharing research, progress, and hope. And we're so excited for our additional 2023 grant awardee at States. Thanks so much, all. Bye.